And everybody was told, use these protocols, period. Don't ask about them. Don't question them. Don't discuss them. And if you refuse to do them, you're out of here. And this occurred all over the country in the United States. Now, I asked late in the process of interviewing the nurses, I said, what percentage of nurses actually pushed back on this? And they were reluctant to give an answer. And you have to understand, these are traumatized people, right? And when I asked them to recount all the things they went through, I was asking a lot. It's like asking a military veteran, a battle veteran, combat veteran, hey, tell me about, such and such an episode. It's not a pleasant thing to recount. So they were reluctant to talk about how many nurses did or didn't push back, but I pushed a little bit because I needed an answer. And so I floated a number. I said, was it 10%? And they all said no, it was a whole lot less. So basically, at least 90% of the nurses, probably 95%, maybe 99%, went along with these protocols, watched patients get seriously injured and die, and continued to apply the same protocol. One of the very strange things in the United States was we have laws, and I'm sure the UK has these laws too. You could be the greatest physician in Austria or Germany or Japan, and if you move to the United States, you're handed a mop and a broom. You're not a doctor until you jump through 10,000 hoops to become a U.S. doctor. Well, that law was waived. And any doctor from any country, anybody who claimed to be a doctor and could provide some kind of paperwork, regardless of where on earth they were coming from, was invited to become a doctor in the COVID wards. And many reports of doctors that could barely speak English, many reports of doctors who had no expertise in ICU and intensive care. They were podiatrists or obstetricians or whatever. Same thing on the nursing side. Typically, if you're going to work in an ICU with people who are critically ill, you've been trained in that specifically. You've been supervised as a student for a prolonged period, and then you have a career where you're doing that day in and day out. You're retraining and so on. Well, there were many nurses in these ICUs that had never been in an ICU before. There were even nurses that had just graduated from school and had never gone through their practical training yet. I even heard stories of nurses who hadn't even graduated yet. So, and there were intense financial incentives. So if you were a full-fledged nurse, you were paid $10,000 US per week to work in one of these COVID wards. I don't know what the doctors were paid. I'm going to guess it was a multiple. So not only did you have the administrators wielding an iron fist, but you also had massive financial incentives for these largely contract people that have come from other states, people that have come from other countries.
And their visas would be tied to their job contract as well, wouldn't they?
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, if you don't cooperate, I'm sure you not only lose your payday, you're out of the country. But I have to emphasize this was unprecedented in U.S. medical history, that you would allow foreign trained doctors to practice medicine in the United States without a education period, and an evaluation period. Obviously, there was no time to evaluate. So it was a perfect system. And if you look at this, there's intention, right? And then there's function. I don't know the intention. I can't know the intention. We can't know the intention until there's a complete, thorough investigation. But we can know the function. And this was set up, the way it functioned, let's put it this way, the way it functioned was a killing machine, killing fields. It was a very efficient way to kill a large number of people very rapidly, undercover, without being exposed. And if we go back to those numbers and say, okay, over 1 million people died of COVID in the United States, supposedly 92% of them died in a hospital. We have to guess that tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who need not have died, went into a hospital, got a COVID diagnosis, were put on this protocol, and they came out in a body bag.
Yeah.